Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be looking at Tesla stock.
All right.
And we're going to try to go through a lot of this information that you sent over, those BuyPoint analysis and BuyPoint Signals reports, to try to help you come to a decision about whether or not Tesla is a good investment for you.
For sure.
So we're going to be looking at a bunch of different aspects of Tesla.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at their incredible growth.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at those eye-catching BuyPoint signals with gains of over 200% in some cases.
Wow.
And then we're also going to take a look at their financials and some recent news that could impact their stock.
Sounds good. Well, one of the things that's really interesting right off the bat is Tesla's not just a car company anymore.
Right.
They're actually projecting revenue to exceed $101 billion in 2024.
Wow.
That's a projected annual growth rate of 17.47%.
That's huge.
But what's really driving that? Well, they're getting into energy solutions, and they're forming partnerships with some really big players.
Okay.
Like Uber.
Wow.
That's a pretty powerful combination.
That is a big leap.
Yeah.
And definitely something for you to keep in mind as we go through all this information in this deep dive.
Right.
But let's get back to those BuyPoint signals for a second.
Okay.
Over 200% gain on one signal.
Yeah.
That's got to get your attention.
That's pretty incredible.
What factors are driving that kind of excitement?
Well, there's been a lot of speculation about President Trump potentially easing regulations for Tesla's full self-driving technology. And, you know, the market reacts really strongly to even just a hint of a major shift like that.
Right.
This potential deregulation could be a real game changer. So it's no surprise that it's reflected in those signals.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of potentially reacting to news, the report also mentions a recent uptick in politician trades. Involving Tesla stock 7 in the last 90 days.
Wow.
Now, that could just be a coincidence.
It could be.
But it does make you wonder.
It certainly raises some questions.
Yeah.
We can't say definitively that there's a connection.
Right.
But, you know, this is another piece of information to consider when you're evaluating the signals and the whole Tesla story.
Okay, so we've got these positive signals, potentially driven by regulatory changes and maybe even some insider knowledge.
Maybe.
But what about Tesla's financial stability?
Okay.
I mean, after all, you don't want to invest in a company that's built on a shaky foundation.
No, you don't.
So.
Well, and that's the good news.
Okay.
Tesla's financials look really strong.
Oh, good.
They have a healthy cash position.
Right.
Good liquidity.
Okay.
Which means they can meet their short-term obligations without any problems.
That's good.
And their free cash flow is positive.
Okay, which means they're generating more cash than they're spending.
That's a good sign.
All of this points to a company that can not only survive, but also invest in future growth.
So they're not just surviving. They're actually thriving.
Exactly.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about a company that's really pushing boundaries like Tesla.
Right.
But let's switch gears for a minute and talk about something else that could affect their stock price.
Okay.
We got to talk about that beta of 2.29.
Okay.
What does that mean for Tesla stock?
Well, you're not wrong.
Okay.
Beta measures how much a stock's price tends to move compared to the overall market.
Okay.
So a beta of 2.29 for Tesla means that its price swings can be more than twice as dramatic as the average stock.
It's really volatile.
Yeah. It can be unnerving.
Yeah.
Especially if you're new to invest in.
So if the market takes a dip, Tesla could take a nosedive.
That's a big risk to consider.
It is.
But I guess the flip side is if the market surges, Tesla could skyrocket.
Exactly. It's a double-edged sword.
Right.
Bigger potential losses, but also the possibility of bigger gains. And given Tesla's projected growth and those BuyPoint signals, the potential upside might outweigh the risks for some investors.
So it really depends on your individual risk tolerance.
Exactly.
That's a really important point.
It is.
You have to know your own comfort level with risk.
Absolutely.
Speaking of comfort levels, let's talk about those analyst ratings.
All right.
The consensus seems to be a hold that doesn't exactly scream buy now.
Well, not necessarily. Remember, analysts are looking at a lot of different factors, and one of those is valuation. Tesla's price to earnings and price to sales ratios are pretty high, meaning the stock is trading at a premium compared to its earnings and sales.
So what does that mean?
Well, this suggests that the market already has high expectations for Tesla's future.
So is the market getting ahead of itself?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Are these high expectations already baked into the stock price?
Right.
That's something to think about.
Yeah, definitely something to ponder.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When you see a hold rating,
Yeah.
especially for a company like Tesla, it often means that analysts believe that the stock's current price already reflects a lot of the potential upside.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they think Tesla's a bad investment.
Okay.
It just means they're being cautious.
So you really need to look beyond the headlines,
Yeah.
dig into the details, as we're doing here.
That's right.
I feel like we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
Tesla's financials are solid.
Yeah.
But the stock is known for its wild swings.
That's true.
And the market seems to have already priced in a lot of optimism.
It seems that way.
Now let's dive into some recent news that could impact Tesla's future.
All right.
Starting with.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about Elon Musk requesting health data.
Hold on. Let's save that for part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay.
Where we'll examine some of the news and Elon Musk's influence in more detail.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
All right. Welcome back to our deep dive on Tesla.
All right. When we left off, we were about to get into some recent news that could impact Tesla's future.
Yeah, one article mentions Elon Musk requesting health data from ex-users.
Yeah.
And another labeled him an unelected defense contractor.
Yeah, that's some pretty strong language.
It is.
Makes you wonder, how much weight should we really give to these non-business factors when we're considering Tesla as an investment?
Yeah, it's almost like he's running a tech company and starring in a reality show at the same time.
Right. But seriously, how do we balance those financial numbers with these less tangible, more personality-driven factors?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that every investor has to grapple with. You know, traditional financial analysis focuses on the numbers, revenue, earnings, debt. But with a company like Tesla, where the CEO is so intertwined with the brand, you can't really ignore the human element.
Right.
Elon Musk's actions and statements can have a real impact on the company's stock price.
So how do we?
So it's all about assessing the potential impact.
Okay.
Let's take the health data request, for example.
Okay.
On the surface, it seems totally unrelated to Tesla's core business.
Right.
But if you dig a little deeper, you can see a potential connection to their work on AI and neural networks. Tesla's self-driving technology relies heavily on AI.
And having access to these large data sets of health information could give them an edge in developing even more sophisticated algorithms.
So it's not just about the news itself.
Right.
It's about understanding the potential implications.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about that unelected defense contractor label?
Well, that's a pretty negative headline.
It is.
And it could hurt Tesla's stock.
How?
Oh, if it fuels this public perception that Tesla is getting too involved in things that are outside their core expertise, some investors might see that as a distraction. Or even a risk. Especially if it leads to, increased government scrutiny or regulation.
So we're back to that risk versus reward idea again.
We are.
The potential for growth is huge.
It is.
But so is the potential for things to go sideways.
Right.
Either because of market factors or because of Elon Musk being Elon Musk.
That's right.
It's a lot to think about. It is a lot to process. That's why we're doing this deep dive. We're trying to give you the information you need to make an informed decision.
So you're saying I'm not alone in this?
You are not.
Okay.
Every investor who considers Tesla has to weigh these same factors. And that's where your personal risk tolerance comes in.
Okay, so I think I'm starting to see the bigger picture.
Good.
It's not just about crunching numbers.
It's not just about the numbers.
It's about understanding the narrative.
It's about the story.
The story behind the stock.
Exactly.
And with Tesla, that story is as much about Elon Musk as it is about electric cars and self-driving technology.
Absolutely.
And that story's constantly evolving.
It is. New chapters are being written every day as an investor. Your job is to stay informed, understand the different plot lines, and decide if you want to be a part of this particular saga.
I like that analogy. It's like we're all reading this really exciting book.
Right.
But we get to choose
we do.
whether we want to just enjoy the story
Right.
or actually invest in the outcome.
Exactly.
Speaking of invest in, let's revisit those BuyPoint signals.
All right.
Those gains of 208% and over 30%
Yeah.
are pretty hard to ignore.
They are pretty impressive.
Can you break down how those signals actually work?
Sure.
And what they might be telling us about Tesla's future?
So BuyPoint signals are essentially algorithmic indicators that identify potential buy-in opportunities based on a combination of different factors. Technical analysis, market sentiment, news events.
So they're not just random guesses.
No, they're not just pulling these out of a hat.
There's a method to the madness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These signals are based on back-tested data. And they have a proven track record of identifying stocks with strong upward potential.
So in Tesla's case, these recent signals seem to be picking up on a few key factors.
Right.
The speculation around deregulation of full self-driving.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a potential catalyst that could significantly boost Tesla's value.
So if those regulations do ease up, and Tesla's self-driving technology gets the green light, these signals are saying the stock could really take off.
That's what they're implying.
Okay.
Of course, nothing is guaranteed in the stock market.
Right.
But these signals, combined with Tesla's growth, paint a very optimistic picture.
Okay, but there's another element these signals are likely picking up on, and that's the overall market sentiment towards Tesla.
Yeah.
Right.
Despite all the volatility and the sometimes controversial headlines, there's still a lot of excitement. Optimism surrounding the company.
It's like they've tapped into something bigger than just selling cars.
It's more than just cars.
They've become a symbol of innovation, of a future powered by technology and sustainable energy.
Exactly.
That kind of brand loyalty is really hard to come by.
It is.
And it's definitely something that investors are paying attention to.
Absolutely. Tesla has managed to create this passionate following, this community of believers who are not just customers, but advocates.
Right.
And that kind of enthusiasm can be a really powerful force, driving demand and ultimately influencing the stock price.
Okay, so we got these BuyPoint signals flashing green, fueled by potential regulatory changes, positive market sentiment, and a whole lot of buzz around the Tesla brand.
Right.
But how do we, as potential investors,
right,
make sense of all this information?
That's the big question.
Where do we go from here?
Well, that's where the real work begins.
Okay.
You got to take all this information, the financials, the news, the signals, the market sentiment, and synthesize it into this cohesive understanding of Tesla as an investment opportunity.
So it's not just about following the signals blindly.
Not at all.
It's about understanding the context, the story behind the numbers.
Exactly. It's about, let's delve into that in part 3 of our deep dive, where we wrap everything up.
Sounds good.
See you soon.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our Tesla deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered so much ground.
Yeah, a lot of information.
From those impressive BuyPoint signals to Elon Musk and his
unique style.
Unique leadership style, let's just say.
Yeah.
But now we got to land this plane.
Yeah, okay.
So what does all this mean for you, the listener, who's trying to decide whether or not to invest in Tesla stock?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is.
We've looked at the data, the news, the potential risks and rewards, but ultimately the decision is a personal one.
So how do we even begin to make sense of it all?
Right.
We've got these BuyPoint signals suggesting huge potential gains.
Yeah.
But then we've got all these other factors.
Right.
Market volatility, regulatory uncertainty.
Elon Musk.
Yeah. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
It's a good way to put it. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Even with those missing pieces, you can still get a sense of the big picture.
Okay.
And that's what we've been doing here.
Okay.
We've been trying to assemble the pieces we do have to create a more complete understanding of Tesla.
All right, so let's start putting those pieces together.
Okay.
Tesla is a company defined by growth.
Yeah, they're not just making electric cars anymore.
Right, they're building an ecosystem.
They are.
Around sustainable energy, artificial intelligence, even space exploration.
Right. It's a pretty bold vision.
It's a bold vision.
And it's clearly resonating with investors and consumers.
And that growth is reflected in their financials.
It is strong revenue, healthy cash flow.
Yeah.
a solid track record of innovation.
But high growth comes with volatility.
It does.
Tesla stock is known for its dramatic swings.
Yeah.
And that's something
Big swings.
That's something you need to be comfortable with.
For sure.
Right? We can't forget about that beta of 2.29.
Nope.
It's a constant reminder that Tesla is not for the faint of heart.
If you can't handle a roller coaster,
right,
maybe stay away.
But for those who can handle the ride,
yeah,
the rewards could be significant.
That could be huge.
Especially if those BuyPoint signals are accurate.
Right. Those potential gains of over 200% and 30%
Whoa.
suggest that the market sees a lot of upside.
Okay, so we've got growth, we've got volatility, we've got these potential catalysts.
Yeah.
But what about those X factors that we discussed?
Right.
Elon Musk's unpredictable nature.
Yeah.
The potential for negative headlines. The influence of political agendas.
Right, yes, those are the wild cards.
How do we factor those in?
Yeah, you got to be aware of them. You got to factor them into your assessment.
So do I trust Elon Musk's vision?
Yeah. Am I comfortable with the media scrutiny?
Right.
These are all questions only you can answer.
It sounds like investing in Tesla
isn't
just about analyzing financial statements.
Yeah.
More to it. It's about understanding.
It's a story.
This complex narrative, this story that's still being written.
It's unfolding.
And maybe that's what makes it so interesting.
It's exciting.
We're not just investing in a company.
Right.
We're investing in a vision of the future.
A vision of what could be.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive.
Right.
Let's try to distill everything we've learned into some key takeaways for our listeners.
Good idea.
Tesla is a company with tremendous growth potential.
Huge potential.
But that growth comes with volatility.
Inherent volatility.
Their financials are strong.
They are.
But the stock is heavily influenced by outside factors.
So many things.
Including Elon Musk.
Right.
Regulatory developments.
That's a big word.
Market sentiment.
Absolutely.
BuyPoint signals suggest there could be significant upside.
Yeah, over 200%.
But it's important to understand what's driving those signals.
And your own risk tolerance before making any decisions.
And this is just a snapshot in time.
It is.
Tesla's story is constantly evolving.
Always changing.
So staying informed is essential.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully you, the listener, feel more informed.
More empowered.
To make a decision that's right for you.
That's the goal.
Whether you decide to invest.
Or just watch from the sidelines.
One thing's for certain.
What's that?
Tesla is a company that's going to continue to shape the world.
No doubt about it.
Understanding that world, its complexities, its possibilities, is the first step towards making informed decisions.
For sure.
Not just about investments.
About everything.
But about the future we want to create. That's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this Tesla Deep Dive.